All right, people. I am going to talk a little bit about pigments today, and they can be a little bit intimidating for people. And truth be told, I kind of have a love-hate relationship with them. Pigments are great, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, pigments are these loose powder. This one's by NYX. Um, this one's by Unique. Unique, all their basically their eyeshadows come as pigments. Um, I have all different kinds. This one's Krylon. Basically, they're loose powders that are highly concentrated. So the color payoff is great, which is one of the reasons why I love them. The reason why I hate them is that they can be incredibly messy. The powder just gets everywhere because it's loose powder. So as I said, I have a love-hate relationship. I love the looks that they can give you. You can use them wet, you can use them dry. They'll give you different looks. I'm going to show you a couple different ways you can do it. And what I have found that I like better, and it really, a lot of the pigments are very similar. It all pretty much comes down to, and it's so sad to say, but the packaging. Because I've put them in my kit and they get everywhere, and I've ended up tossing half of it off because I get so frustrated that I have all this powder everywhere. It gets over everything. So honestly, what I found is the packaging that I like, and that will, keep things a little bit neater for me. So let me start off. As I said, there's NYX. They make great pigments. They're very reasonably priced. I hate this packaging. Hate it. I'll show you. So they come in these little jars. I believe MACs are pretty similar to it. I haven't used their pigments. But they're, well, actually I have used them, but I don't have any with me. So yeah, so it comes like this, like it has, and you can see it's already getting out everywhere, with this little tiny opening and a cap, which is fine, but I mean, it just gets everywhere. And then when you put it back on, it doesn't always get on, and then you get fallout everywhere. And again, I hate it. And then my hands get dirty, and then I just look like a sparkly mess, because pigments can be sparkly, they can be matte, and it's just drives me crazy. So I love the color. I just hate the packaging. Also, what's, I got stuff all over me. There's packaging like this. This is an Everyday Minerals. It's a shaker with a top. Not bad. I kind of like it better than the other one. The thing what I find with anything with a round top is that they'll slowly work their way out and kind of loosen up. So again, then you get a lot more fallout. Krylons is the same way. They just have one big hole in the middle. This one I just got, it's not too bad. Again, with the round top, so it always makes me a little worried that they're going to get everywhere. And, I don't want you guys to think that, like, just because I'm selling Unique, that all of a sudden I'm like, oh, everything is wonderful. But I will say I actually really like, I'm getting all this powder over. I actually really like the packaging for this. This is their Moonstruck Mineral Pigments. Because it's angled and it's almost like it locks into place. You can hear it kind of click. And it's stackable. It's not going to roll around. It's got a flat side. So I actually really like it. And then when you open it up, it's got a deeper well in here. So the powder stays in there, and then when you put it back on, it clicks closed, and then you don't get powder everywhere. So it's kind of, it's great. I hope more companies do this, because, as I said, pigments are kind of pigments, and it really, there's not much variance with them, but a lot of it has to, with my preference, has to do with the packaging. So I haven't, you know, as I said, I've thrown a lot of my pigments away because I just got so frustrated and I was sick of having dirty hands, sparkliness everywhere, and then it getting over everything. This one is Sexy. So it's kind of like a light shimmery. I have a primer on my eyes already. And primer, for those who don't know, will just help keep your eyeshadow last longer. It also helps with creasing. My lids, because they roll back, if I don't use a primer, my lids get a little oily and then everything creases. So if you do get any sort of creasing, if you're wearing throughout the day and you're like, oh, why, you know, why do I have this line or collect? Use a primer and it will help. And there's all different kinds of primers. We'll have to do another tutorial for that. So what I've done is this is just a like a shader brush, and it's kind of a fluffier brush, but it's flat, if you can see. So that way you can apply. With pigments, I like to, you know, you can sweep on. That'll give you a sheer coverage. If you're looking for a little bit more of an intense color or more placement, then I like to press them on. And I have my lashes on already, so I'm gonna try and be careful. But what you can do is just press them on. And this color I'm doing just all over the lids. And it's a nice sparkly, kind of neutral color. This is actually a really nice pigment to use if you want to try the new like strobing trend, which is basically highlighting. So you could use a little bit of this like under the brow to highlight, a little bit above the brow, a little bit on your forehead, down the nose, just to give you a little bit of a highlight look. This one's also a really nice one, and I don't have many brushes down here, so you know, you can use different brushes. But if you use it as like a highlight on the cheekbone, it's really pretty. You just don't want to go too crazy with sparkly because you'll look oily and shiny. But if you do it just above the cheekbone, it'll give kind of a nice illuminating effect. So it's great. It's a nice multitasking product. Let me show you. This is Corrupted, which is basically like a black. But what you can also do with your pigments, if you take, and I like using an angled brush on me personally because my lids tend to, I don't have much lid space, which basically means when I open my eyes, you can't really see my lids. I don't have, you know, a lot of space to work with. So when I'm going to line my eyes, I like to use a little angled brush. Because that gives me a little bit more control. If I try and use, they have, you know, the other like real thin liner brushes. I can't quite get in because my brow bone sits right here, and it just is a mess. So use what works for you. But what you can do is just wet your brush. I just have a little dish of water. You want to wet your brush and not pour water into your product, because then you're going to get too messy. Everything's going to get too messy. But you can just do it right in the cap and kind of just get some product on your brush. And what that will do is will turn this into more of a liner. You can add a little bit more. Yeah, a little bit more. So it's kind of like a charcoal color. It's not like super, super dark, which is kind of nice because if you're not going for a super dramatic line look, this is kind of like almost like a grayish black. on the eye area. It's also nice for doing a little bit more of a smoky eye. So again, what I like to do, let's see if I can do this with my lashes on, since I usually don't have lashes on, but what you can do is just use it as a liner. So not only do these work really awesome as a shadow, let's see, my line's getting a little funky. But you can just use it to accentuate your eye. You can use it for tight lining, which is just along that lash line. And you can use it even to sweep your line out a little bit. Now, as I said, because I have a heavy brow right here, and some of you might have this at home, I have a real hard time doing wing liner, because if I try and do what all the tutorials say, it ends up looking like a swoop on the outside. So what I do for me is I don't go past where the brow bone is. So I'll just kind of look at how my lash line is going up like this, and then just kind of angle it down. And then I'll give you that little bit of a cat eye effect without being too crazy. And without looking weird, because on my eyes it kind of will look weird. So that is how to do a liner with pigment. As I said, pigments are great. They're fun to try out. This is, you know, 2 seconds worth of eye makeup. But it gives you a real nice, nice look. And as I said, you know, it's just kind of something that you have to play around with a little bit. And it's mostly about the packaging. I'm telling ya, like, these other places need to get on it. Just, you know, I guess you could take these out and put them in a different package if you wanted. But that seems like a pain in the butt. So if you have any questions about pigments, just let me know. I'm here to help. Bye.